Welcome to Season 4 of E-commerce Fastlane. This podcast helps resilient entrepreneurs thrive with Shopify. And now, on to episode 204.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
This episode is brought to you by Fast Simon, a leader in AI-powered shopping optimization for Shopify merchants. You can now engage your customers, boost your sales, and uplift your average order value with advanced search, personalization, merchandising, and discovery functionalities. As a Shopify merchant, you need the best-of-breed apps to differentiate and thrive in today's e-commerce landscape. Fast Simon has designed its platform with scalable infrastructure and customization in mind. Their new React UI component library simplifies the integration of AI shopping optimization with headless commerce and custom Shopify e-commerce storefronts. The new library can allow you to increase conversions through speed and AI of its shopping optimization platform, including merchandising, smart collections, search, personalization, visual discovery, cross-selling, upselling, and you name it, all with a few lines of code. As a Shopify merchant, Fast Simon understands your needs and offers multiple store views within the same dashboard, copy settings between stores, manage production, staging, and development stores, role-based access controls, and most importantly, they have 24/7 world-class support. Now, Fast Simon has powerful features tailored to the needs of Shopify brands. You can now address your audience's buying intent across different points in the customer journey. Whether your shoppers are browsing or if they have a clear intent to buy, get the tools to move your first-time visitors towards making a purchase by offering a unique buying experience through personalization and visual discovery. Fast Simon has also partnered up with Shopify's point-of-sale system, which is actually fantastic for those retailers listening today with an online store and traditional brick-and-mortar locations, or even a pop-up shop. They also play nice in the ecosystem partners like Klaviyo, Yotpo, Stamped, Facebook, Instagram, so much more. You can even pull unlimited data from about anything in your online store and utilize it in your marketing tech stack. The more data you integrate, the more audience insights and personalization possibilities that you'll discover. Thousands of e-commerce merchants and agencies trust Fast Simon as they are a member of the Shopify Plus certified app program. You'll get great results, maximum flexibility, and unrivaled time to market. And right now, Fast Simon is offering a 14-day free trial for all my listeners. This also includes 30% off for the first 3 months. So check out their website at fastsimon.com. And to take advantage of my listener-only discount and free trial, head on over to ecommercefastlane.com/Fast Simon. This is the only app you will need for all of your shopping optimization needs. So go check them out, fastsimon.com. Well, hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the E-commerce Fastlane podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, this is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. Now, if you're an ambitious, lifelong learner, which you probably are since you're here today, you're definitely in the right place. Now, new episodes are available twice weekly with your favorite podcast players like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and many more. You can also stream current episodes, including a very relevant back catalog of Shopify partners and agency partners. I think we're up to 203-ish episodes now. They're all available there. These partners are solving some amazing problems for Shopify brands. A lot of great offers and stuff that you could take a look at. ecommercefastlane.com and check that out. Now, today's episode, super excited. This is actually an encore recording, I might add. We had this fellow on. I'll mention him in a moment. We had him on, believe it or not, in November 21st of 2019. So it's been quite a while. Things have massively changed since November. But his name is Brent Spicer, and he's known, through his friends and through work as Spice. And he's the CEO and co-founder of a company called Marcella. That's Marcella. Sello, Marcello. And what they are is they're a customer marketing platform, and they help omnichannel retailers. I'm going to highlight the word omnichannel. It's a very important distinction right now. And they really help bridge the gap between the sales channels through a seamless integration of marketing tools that they have all built into this solution. So think online, think in store. Very interesting. I think it's a timely conversation. We're moving right now into the busy holiday time. Please also listen through to the end. We just chatted in the green room a moment ago, and apparently there's going to be a very exclusive listener-only bonus available to those that make through it to the end. So hi, Spice. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. And I really appreciate the fact that you got up at the crack of dawn. You're in New Zealand, and so I'm in Vancouver. My time is 11:45 a.m., and for you, it's 7:45 a.m. the next day.
Yep, we're almost a day ahead of you.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I know. Thank you so much for getting on this recording today. And, there's going to be a handful of folks, I think, that maybe don't know what Marcello does, the platform, and kind of the problems that you're solving for brands. So maybe you can help us unpack that. Maybe just set the stage a bit about the platform and some of the main features and these problems that are solving with your solution.
Yeah, sure. So Marcello is an all-in-one customer marketing platform designed specifically for omnichannel retailers. So by omnichannel, we mean retailers that have not only an e-commerce store, but physical stores as well. So we're the only Shopify app that integrates your Shopify e-commerce store with your physical stores, no matter what POS you have. So obviously we integrate with Shopify POS, but it doesn't have to be Shopify POS. We can bring that all together in one place. And we think that's incredibly important because although e-commerce is growing incredibly quickly, especially post-COVID, we've seen a massive growth rate in e-commerce stores being brought to market. But the research still shows that almost 90 cents in every retail dollar that's spent is still spent in store. So, it's really important that we have a seamless experience. And, as an example, we have this great customer. I was just talking to the other day, Silas from Bolo Shoes in San Francisco. They have a physical store in Hayes Valley using Shopify POS, and they have a Shopify e-commerce store. And talking to Silas, it was really interesting. I said to him, so, what does Hayes Valley look like anymore? Because I lived in San Francisco for a couple of years. And so how did you survive through this COVID period, with having physical stores? And he said, although a lot of the stores around them had closed, they'd been really fastidious about making sure that they captured those customer contact details. And so when COVID struck and the store was shut down, they were still able to market to all those customers and get them to buy online. And then when restrictions started to relax, they had click and collect, and they would get people to drive by and they'd run out onto the footpath with their mask on, obviously, and hand them their shoes.
Yeah.
So, this whole omnichannel thing is really important. But what's also important, from that example is because they're capturing those customer details, they can actually market to customers in a different way. So, they'll get people to come into the store to buy shoes, but then they might want to, get them to buy some socks or a shoe repair kit or something as well. So you don't want them coming into the store to do that. So they sell that stuff online. But then you want to, knowing what shoes they bought in the past, when a new range comes out, get them to come back in the store and buy those. So, we see that this omnichannel experience is not only really important, but it's still really prevalent. And it's the way that consumers are choosing to shop. They like to go into stores. So we find ourselves quite unique in that space of coming from a physical store background first, and then providing that seamless experience both in store and online.
Yeah, I love it. That's a really good stat, and I've heard that a lot. About 90% of the revenue, the GMV, is still happening in traditional retail, and hence all the effort that you guys are doing, and not to mention Shopify is doing. We have a go-to-market strategy for retail, and obviously the completely redesigned new Shopify POS system, and it's pretty impressive. And a lot of the hardware pieces, it's quite an exciting time to be alive, and people are realizing the benefits. Hopefully, we're 18, 19 months into this pandemic, and hopefully, just with vaccinations, if that's what people choose, but hopefully over time, things are going to be a lot more stabilized than having to do one or the other. I like the idea you're putting them both together. It kind of reminds me of a term that happens with the brands I manage called clienteling. And clienteling is kind of a meaning that, hey, you know what? Each individual location, or even in a market of physical stores and having one online presence, what's quite interesting, and I know your platform can do this, and we're going to dig into some of the specifics in a few minutes, but one thing that's very unique about clienteling is the fact that, a commissioned salesperson and or the business manager or the store manager could very easily, through the platform or even through the marketing side of the business, could actually send out out very targeted messages out in the communication format that, the customer wants to be messaged on, be that email or SMS. There's different ways of communicating with people, but letting them know that in your local market or in your local store where you shop, these particular items are available in these sizes. What's interesting, because sometimes when you do a promotion on an online store with matching online stores, not every location has everything in stock. But imagine the opportunity of saying, hey, in this market, you can go crazier east and west in a country where maybe the weather patterns are different. You have lots of rain stuff in stock over here in this market, but then in another market, maybe you have more winter apparel. And so I just love the fact that Marcella has that option to think about, hey, what can I sell out of my local store or multiple stores in my area? And then can I market to those specific customers in those local markets? I think is really compelling.
Totally. And that's why you've got to collect that data in the first place, though, right? So, you need to leverage that data to work out what's the next best campaign I can send, to an individual, or more likely to a segment of customers. What's the thing that's going to generate the best return on investment, whilst at the same time making it personalized enough so that they're not going to click unsubscribe, right? That's the worst thing you can do, is just do generic marketing.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let's chat a bit about the founder's journey. I mean, I learned a little bit a couple of years ago about you and your co-founders, but I think, we're getting a whole new audience today that's learning about Marcella today. So are you able to talk a little bit about just the founding team in general? Like, where did the desire and the expertise to even want to create this platform, like where did it all come from, and where did the origin story of this brand?
Like, I come from a retail background, so I had my first store selling telecommunication stuff, and actually in the early days of mobile phones, selling mobiles. So I'd been overseas for 11 years, lived in the UK, and I came back to New Zealand. I was doing a corporate job, and I was doing some mentorship work in a local incubator here in Wellington. And I met my two co-founders, a very common entrepreneurial story. One thing that was unusual was they were twin brothers, and one of them was working in the incubator trying to create a product while the other one worked full time. So Matt was in the incubator and Brady was out doing a developer job trying to earn enough money for them both to live while they sought the dream of becoming entrepreneurs. So we met up and we had a common problem that we wanted to solve. We found that a lot of these small retailers, particularly the ones with physical stores, were just constantly bombarded with what we call dumb marketing alternatives. So, it goes all the way back to when I first had my very first store. I remember vividly, I still remember the guy's name, Willie, from the local radio station, would come in and he'd put his tape recorder on the table and he'd go, Spice, we're going to run this ad, man. It's going to rock your world. There's just going to be so many people coming into your store. And I'd go, well, that's cool, Willie, but how do I know it was the radio ad that actually did that? And then you'd have the print advertising guys, we're going to put this in the newspaper. And man, I make myself sound old, aren't I? But this is actually all pre-internet, by the way. So you just couldn't tell that this stuff worked. And then when Matt and Brady and I met up, Groupon was just becoming a really big thing. And we saw that, once again, it was a pretty dumb marketing alternative because the small retailers would subsidize a sale of their product by 50%. They'd attract a whole bunch of bargain hunters that would never come back, and they'd just grow Groupon's database of customers. And then you had companies like Yelp who would, they'd set up a review page for you and you'd get a whole bunch of terrible reviews, and then you'd have to pay Yelp to actually repair your reputation. We actually had Yelp people come and work for us in sales, and they go, oh my God, you've got customers who actually like you. The first 20 minutes of all our calls is just taking abuse. So we wanted to solve that. So we started working with these small retailers, working out what they wanted to do. We created this product. Initially, it was a series of marketing apps. But what we discovered was that the two things we needed to solve to make things smart marketing rather than dumb marketing was, firstly, you needed to use the data to be able to do very specific campaigns to individuals and segments of customers. And secondly, you needed to see whether the marketing actually worked or not. By worked, we mean it actually generated some sales. So there's no point just putting marketing out there. You can't. We had a lot of customers in the early days that use MailChimp, and we go, what do you do for marketing? And they'd say, hey, once a month I send a newsletter and I'm so proud of myself. And we go, yeah, but what does that do? Does it generate any sales? Mm-hmm. And so what our goal was to create this platform that just generated smart marketing for small retailers that was based on the data that they were collecting through e-commerce and point of sale. But more importantly, when you ran a campaign, you could see that it drove a customer to make a purchase. So Steve looked at this email, he clicked on this link, and within 10 days he came into the store and bought that product. Hey, that campaign actually worked. let's see how we can do that again and do it better again next time.
And then you can really get true lifetime value out of that. And just imagine some of the segmentation that's available then, knowing your customer, knowing they've made one purchase or two, but they haven't made a third. So I would call them kind of maybe at risk of churning. They haven't made a purchase in X number of time. And then being able to, slice and dice that data, as you call it, smart marketing, and be able to market to those people that maybe need to be re-engaged. They've made two purchases. So they see some value, maybe one online, one in store, or maybe they're both in store. So it sounds like you really have an opportunity here of the type of customer and where they choose to buy and saying, hey, create a campaign about getting people to buy online. Maybe they just are scared to go outside right now, or, whatever the reasons are. They have a young family now. There's a lot of different reasons, but you could really, the creativity is there based on the data that you've collected inside Marcella.
Totally. And one of the things that is becoming more prevalent now is database recommendations, right? So what you're talking about is spot on. So with that third purchase, how do you set up an automation that actually looks automatically at the data that says that, hey, Steve purchased this product in the past and other people who purchased this product also purchased this one. So, we have automations that will just do product-based recommendations, and it has a really, really high uptake. People go, actually, yeah, I do like that, and I will buy it. And look, it's really easy to buy online. So, you don't need to trouble your in-store staff to do that, to fulfill that purchase.
I think I've mentioned it before, like RFM, this recency, frequency, and monetization kind of RFM kind of a strategy. And yeah, there are definitely software and tools available, like more like one-offs that do certain things like that. But the product recommendations, I think, is key to the whole thing. You can segment all you want, but if you don't actually pair that up with the buying intent and the actual products and the complementary products that others have purchased, it can be challenging. So with Marcella, you have that option. So I love that.
When a retailer signs up, that's the first thing they see. So we import their database of customers and all their previous purchase histories and automatically segment them into that recency, frequency, and monetary grid. But the next thing we're adding to that is we think there's something missing there. So we want to create a new model called RMS. So we want to add sentiment to it as well. Because it's no good selling something to a customer if they're a bit pissed off about it because they got sold a dud. Mm-hmm. So, how do we actually then work out with the feedback tools that we have that they're really happy about it or they're unhappy, and, maybe you need to do something to change that sentiment. Otherwise, they're not only never going to buy again, but, that bad word of mouth can cost you a lot, right? If they actually tell their friends.
Yes, definitely. So let's talk a bit about that omni-channel thing. We mentioned at the top of the show, you've been bringing it up a little bit, and, it's just, I look at it different ways. Like, I'll kind of put my 2 cents into this, is that when I think of omni-channel, the first side I think about is just getting out there in the channels that are available, your own channel, which is your website, but then getting out into marketplaces, maybe other, large retailers getting onto their marketplaces, just getting it out that way. That's one kind of like omni-channel experience. I think you have a little different way of looking at it. It's more than just your own store and being out into marketplaces. There's now the traditional retail or pop-up shop kind of idea, based on where the revenue is with, like you said, 90% of all the dollars spent worldwide is still physically in store because people want to touch and experience the product. And so just would like to unpack this conversation. I think it'll go down a rabbit hole for sure, but I think it's interesting to kind of dig into this.
Yeah, totally. So marketplaces is something that we are working on at the moment, but for us, omni-channel, the channels we have at the moment is your online store and your physical store. But you've only got to look at the big guys, right, to see that this is something that's really important. In the US, you see these Amazon 5-star stores popping up all the time. And it's because, just for a bit of background for people if they don't know how those stores work, but basically they look geographically at the data and they go, what are all the 4- and 5-star products that people are buying in this geography? I'm going to put a store in that geography and it's only going to stock those products that are rated 4 or 5 stars. Because they know that the one thing that's going to tip people over to buy that product is actually they want to go touch it. Or they want it now. Right? They want to drive down to the store and they want to get it right now because they're hot for the product, right? So it's not something that we've invented or we're espousing because it's a differentiator for us. It's the way that consumers want to shop. They want to go, and often these purchases are quite emotional, and so they want to actually go touch the product, particularly if it's clothing, right? I want to go and try it on, see how it fits, see how it looks on me, see how it hangs. So it's not something we've chosen to do, it's just the way that the world is. There's some research out earlier this year from GE Capital that shows that 81% of retail shoppers will actually conduct research online before actually going into the store and buying. So, going back to what you were talking about was making sure that you've got the right product in the right place. So there's no point having fantastic winter jackets in your store in California, right?
Right.
So what
Yeah,
the experience
exactly.
you get online has to be seamless to what you've got in store. So, that's how we look at it. But once, the customer has made their first purchase, you've got to use that data to get them to come back and buy again. And you can use that data, be it demographics or products purchased, to actually then personalize those marketing campaigns and generate those recommendations that we were talking about. So another piece of research earlier this year from Monetize showed that customers that were engaged with a recommended product had a 70% higher conversion rate than a generalized product. So you can't just, in this day and age, consumers are savvy and they are busy, like you said, and like they may even be scared to go out to a store. So you've got to send them marketing that actually they feel is in their best interest. So, some people find it creepy. I think it's great when you get a marketing campaign that says, hey, we think you might like this, because so often I go, actually, I do want that. Whereas,
Yeah.
sending me a massive campaign that talks about the latest dresses and makeup and, along with the men's fashion stuff, that just gets annoying, right? So, it all goes back as well to what I said about the almost 90 cents in every dollar still spent in store. And that's because humans, they're not only tactile and want to see the product, but they're actually social as well. And, you see the post-COVID lockdown with stores, you saw the massive influx of people going back to stores. Yeah, they did have a bit more cash because they had nothing to spend it on before, but they like the shopping experience, right? They like going out and meeting people and experiencing really good in-store service. So that's kind of how we look at it. But you've got to be collecting that data to drive the right traffic, either in-store or online, like the Bolo shoes example. So once I bought those shoes, how can I sell them some socks or that repair kit? But when the latest release of shoes come out, and I know that I have them in this style, color, and they're for women, then how do I segment that data to let that segment know that we've got these new shoes in? How do I get them to come back in? It actually leads to being a more efficient store as well, because you don't want your store, your expensive staff, getting clogged up with your staff selling socks, right? You want them selling those expensive high margin shoes. So it allows you to kind of drive the different types of transactional versus emotional purchases through the different channels.
Yeah. No, this is great. So one thing I want to talk about is competition. I have a mantra that I always say, where there's competition, there's business. You're a Shopify Plus technology partner, which I want to chat about in a few minutes, what that means to you in the Shopify ecosystem. But, if you do a quick search in the App Store right now, or even online, just go to Google. There's other notable peers, I think, that are in email or in SMS or doing loyalty solutions or somehow trying to bridge the gap a bit with Shopify's POS or others. And there's a lot of middleware aggregators doing their thing too, trying to figure all this stuff out. I'd argue that maybe there's a little bit of duct tape going on, or I think that a lot of times apps, because I do a lot of app audits for the brands I manage, and I find that, maybe it was the right solution at the right time, but as the brand matured, all of a sudden you step back in the 30,000 foot view and like, oh wow, why do I have 50 apps running in my store here? And I see this all the time, and I kind of pull back and, okay, why do you have all of these apps in here? Do you realize there is, a solution like Marcella that can take care of like 3 of these right out of the box, and then maybe a couple others. So just be nice to kind of maybe chit chat a little bit about the competition in general, and just more importantly, kind of like, how are you intentionally different than others in the ecosystem?
Sure. Yeah, so we always focus on 3 things that, when combined, we believe make us truly unique. So the first thing is exactly what you're talking about. So the type of retailers that we target and talk to, when they see that you can do all this marketing in one place, they just love it. And it was really brought home to us when the Shopify MailChimp integration was ceased. And so we got a lot of those MailChimp customers coming to us, and they're going, so I can do my email marketing through you guys, but are you saying I can run my loyalty program and gather customer feedback as well? And we're going, totally, and it's all natively built into one user experience. And so our goal is to bring all that marketing into one place, and we have a product roadmap that shows that, we want to cover the entire customer life cycle, or the customer journey. So all the way from acquisition through to retention, through to growth, and then leveraging that to get more customers as well. So at the moment, you can do loyalty, email, SMS campaigns, marketing automations, customer feedback. We're just about to release service and product reviews as well. So Google reviews, product reviews to your Shopify website. And we are building Facebook and Instagram advertising as well. And again, all in that one user experience. So there are other apps that are doing multiple things, but we've got this very clear goal on these are the things that will be built into Marcella. And then secondly, this is for omnichannel retailers that we've built this. So we acquired a company last year that allows us to now integrate with practically any point of sale system in the world. So we have a lot of customers who have looked at using us online, and then they go, so we can use you in our stores as well. That's incredible. So you get this whole seamless experience, that we've been talking about, where you can drive different customer behaviors through different channels, different geographies, etc. So you layer the third thing on top of that is we ruthlessly focus on generating sales. So that's what our customers told us they want. They said they don't want anything else. They want to do marketing that sells, hence the name Marcella, so marketing that sells. So we don't build anything in terms of features, etc., unless it's actually going to generate more sales for the retailer. We have retailers come to us and go, hey, can you do this feature? And we go, well, is that going to generate more sales for you? And they go, no, you're right, it's not actually. Yeah, forget about it. Just concentrate on what you're doing. So when we set out doing this, we thought it would be great to be able to get a 10x return on investment. So we measure return on investment by the amount of attributable sales that Marcella marketing campaigns generate over and above the subscription fee. And we thought 10 would be good, and we're actually edging up closer to 80 to 100 at the moment. So all fully auditable and attributable. So yeah, that's what we focus on. Don't do marketing unless it generates sales, and totally measurable sales. So you combine those three things together. So all your marketing in one place that generates measurable sales for omnichannel retailers, and we think that makes us truly unique.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would totally agree with that. And, I did mention a bit there about the Shopify Plus kind of certified app program. I know you got quote unquote inducted into that program. I know it's rigorous. Just being a Shopify employee, I'm very aware of how very particular. I mean, there's 6,000 or 7,000 partners building apps. I think there's more than that as of this recording, but there's a lot. And more just keep coming into the fold and solving a lot of problems. But I think about the importance of this program, and just because they really do focus on a lot of key things. And that's the reason why Marcella has been inducted into this program. The security side, I think of the privacy and speed. I think the scalability, reliability, I think super important, obviously with large brands and with multi-location. And then the customer support and data handling is obviously, all of these things are like super important. You went through that, vetting process, got approved, and now here you are. So can you talk a little bit about that process? Like, what does that mean now? Like, you have this, congrats on the milestone, but like, what does it mean now for you and the company being this Plus certified app partner? And then what does that mean now for brands that choose Marcella?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the congrats. We're actually the first New Zealand company ever to achieve that milestone. So it kind of makes
us even better.
Happy. Yeah, which we didn't realize until we got it. And it was a very, very rigorous process.
No doubt.
Just the security audit stuff that you have to go through, and the reliability and scalability stuff, as well as proving that you can back it up with good customer support. So yeah, it was
Definitely.
tough. Yeah, I don't want to tell you how long it took or how many hours, but yeah. So
I get it.
I think what was really interesting and important for us is, we work very, very closely with what Shopify call the retail team, so the guys that run the POS and omnichannel part of the business, and they share our belief that this is a really, really important part of the retail market, customers who have physical stores as well. And hence, like you were saying before, the amount of money and time that the Shopify have spent on building a world-class point of sale system. So Shopify, when they inducted us, actually created a new category within Shopify Plus called Retail and POS. It was ourselves and two others, so India, who do clienteling software like you were talking about before, and Door, who make hardware backed up with a lot of software to measure customer traffic coming into stores.
Oh yeah, foot traffic. Yeah.
So, it's obvious that Shopify think this whole area is really important as well, with the amount of money that they've invested in also creating this new Shopify Plus strategy. So what's really important for us is that there are a lot of Shopify Plus e-commerce businesses out there that have physical stores, a lot. And to date, they haven't been able to have that seamless experience on store. And like just an example of the seamless experience is, You want a customer to be able to earn points online through a loyalty program, but redeem their rewards in store, right? You don't want that customer walking in and saying, hey, I've got this voucher that I want to redeem. Oh, sorry, you've got to go home and do that online. So it's really important for us to just get across that message that, we can combine all that stuff, Shopify Plus e-commerce experience with your physical store experience.
One thing I noticed too, I had a brand that I manage out of LA. So they're a big kind of female fashion brand. They have about 4 or 5 locations in Southern California. They're very, very busy brand, more online than they are in store because people know about them. They're waiting for their drops to happen. But I can remember going through the challenges with them a few years back about gift cards, because gift cards is a huge problem where in their particular instance, they created separate stores. So there was no front facing part of the store. When they created the new store, the store was just a POS location for them. And the challenge they had, like from a Shopify's perspective, that was a separate instance. It very well could have been www.mystoresandiego.com, even though there was no retail outbound, like public facing. It was all just kind of internal for like inventory control and having access to POS. It created massive nightmares because the challenge was exactly what you just said. People want to be able to go online and they may have gotten a gift card or they purchased one for somebody else. You should be able to instantly buy online, which you can. But then how do you take that digital card and go in store and use it? Or the other way around, can you get physical cards physically off the shelf that have been barcoded, and can they be scanned in, or do you create digital gift cards in person? And then are they usable right away, or can they be then used online? And maintaining all of that, it was a significant overhaul with a lot of kind of middleware, these integrators or platform connectors. And just the challenge was just like all the extra costs associated with trying, in quotation marks, to sync in real time what's going on from a gift card perspective and balances and online and in store. But it's very clear that Marcella has kind of solved both the loyalty points online and in store, and the gift card challenge has been resolved.
Yeah, and really importantly, tracking whether a campaign leads to an in-store sale or an online sale, right? So what's the point of actually running marketing campaigns or advertising or promotions or whatever, and then a customer comes into store because they've seen that and they make a purchase, but you don't know that it was driven by that particular piece of marketing. That attribution is really, really important because you want to know what to do again and what not to do again. And if you're not measuring that actually did something in store, again, that's what we call, this dumb marketing, because you're doing stuff, but you have no idea whether it worked or not.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So let's talk a little bit about Q4. We're in the middle of it right now. The holiday season, as we all know, is just around the corner. I'd argue that for those retailers listening today, the supply chain has been like the biggest challenge. And, being weeks away from BFCM, 4-ish, 5-ish weeks away, that in itself is a challenge for what's going to be on sale and what's available during that holiday time. But that's other supply chain challenges. But let's suppose you do have product when you are ready to roll here. Like, what are you recommending? Like, what can they do today? This inevitable rush is happening. Is now a good time to consider Marcella, or are there other strategies that you've seen like other successful multi-channel retailers doing today based on getting ready for this busy time?
Well, I'm going to say that any time is a good time to consider Marcella.
Of course, yeah, fair enough.
But now is obviously a really good time. And as you said, preparation is the key for this time of the year. And consumers have only got so much money, and you just want to make sure you get more than your fair share of it, right? So, for existing customers and even customers that have been using Shopify for a while or have databases and purchase history, we consolidate all that stuff. So if you're a new customer and you started using Marcella now, we would bring all that data together. So the first thing to do in terms of preparation, the first thing to look at is, what were your biggest selling items last year? And then make a decision on, can you make that a hero item again this year? Or, do you have a unique differentiator around that particular product, so you should push it hard, or do you need to go some other direction? And then once you've chosen those hero products, what promotions can you run around those products to actually make them sell more? So look at the customers that were actually buying that stuff last year, and a lot of the stuff is only lasts a year. So how do you run promotions specifically on those products to customers that have the highest propensity to purchase those? So we have recommendations tools, as I spoke about earlier, that can say that show me all customers that are likely to purchase this particular product. So run a very specific campaign, very specific and simple campaign to those customers on that product or that group of products, rather than just doing something generic. Hey, it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, 50% off everything in store. Everyone does that, right? So how do you do something that's a little bit different and a little bit more tailored? And then secondly, look after those big spenders. Work out who the people were last year that were spending the most money and be generous with those guys, because you know that they're going to spend big. So, do you want to give them like a $50 off voucher, which sounds huge, but if you know that they're spending, $300, $400, $500 on a purchase, then it's nothing to make sure that they spend that money with you rather than the competition who are going to be beating down their doors as well. The other thing that I think is really important, and I just want to go back to that Bolo shoes example again, is so retailers are really busy at this time of the year, but it's like so important while you've got the highest volume of customer traffic coming in that you capture the customer details so that you can market to them again. Like I said with Bolo, they saw these retail stores going out of business all around them because they didn't have customers to market to when the stores were closed. So who knows what the next thing is going to be. We never saw COVID coming. Well, sorry, Bill Gates did, I think, but the rest of us did. But you've got to be able to market to people in quiet times and also times when something unexpected happens, but also again next year at the same time, right? So it's really important that you're capturing as many customer details as possible. And so if you look at what Silas is doing, he did a great job. They had almost 30,000 customers on their database pre-COVID, but now they're going, hey, we think consumers actually respond better to SMS. So now they're working back through their database, working out how they can get mobile phone numbers for people. So it's really important you take the opportunity to just get those customer contact details so you can remarket later on. And then the final thing is, if you've got marketing automations like you have within Marcella, then just make sure you got those all set up and turned on, because you're going to miss opportunities because you're going to be really busy. Simple things like abandoned cart follow-ups. So how do you make sure, because you can't sit there and look at the data and go, wow, these people put this stuff there, I must manually follow up with them. So make sure you've got all your automations up and running and 24/7 behind the scenes without you needing to do it.
Yeah, and one thing I'd add too, I was just thinking about the email and the SMS kind of follow-up from the cart recovery. Just one little tidbit that I'm sharing with brands right now is that if you currently, let's say you're using a competing solution and you're currently set up with some kind of a cart recovery sequence or a re-engagement sequence, I think over the BFCM time, because like you even mentioned it, the share of wallet, or it's just the amount of potential spend per customer that's physically available, call it $1,500 per person. Like when that money's gone, it's gone. And so I think the key is that, if you're triggering a cart recovery right now, 12 hours after the initial kind of abandon, you're probably going to start losing some customers over the BFCM time. So I'm highly recommending brands to really have a look at your flows. Hopefully the other option would be to get rocking with Marcella, and we'll talk about an offer in a minute here. But what's interesting is that, set up the flows over the BFCM time and the triggered events that need to happen just over that special event, because it has to be elevated and escalated to be much quicker just because that event is only 4 days long. And then maybe back to the regular kind of flows you have, 12 hours in the day and then the second day, and then just kind of that sort of thing to slowly attract people back. Same as your email. You have to make sure that your messaging is appropriate for the type of campaign that's happening, getting the hype around it. Like it can't be just all the regular kind of things. I know you're talking about segmentation, being very specific geographically and trying to organize that, but you also have to have the right tone of voice and language to go along with the promotion that you're discussing. So I just want to make sure I shared that with the audience today.
Totally. And like you're saying, Steve, with the timing, the other thing you might want to do that you wouldn't normally recommend is maybe you need to offer a little bit more of a discount in that first push. So because you've only got that 4-day gap, you've got to get back to them, within an hour, and then like 12 hours and 24 hours, but maybe up front, hey, here's another 10%, because probably the reason they didn't purchase is because they're looking at it somewhere else. Yeah,
I'd even argue, talk about the big spenders and stuff too. I have a lot of other brands that are doing a special VIP treatment where they're giving them a special password on a hidden link, gated. And they're saying, hey, because you're one of our best customers, this is a hidden collection of product that's only available to you. Thank you for being our customer. Or to get access, click this link and download our mobile app. Is another big successful one. Get those push notifications out of the mobile app. So there's lots of great strategy out there of like, how do we celebrate our best customers, being our VIPs, I guess, so to speak. And then on the flip side though, like how do we re-engage the kind of 1, 2, or 3 times purchases, and then understanding the product mix and what's the next best product for them based on an association of products. So I know all this stuff can be done in Marcella. So I think it's pretty cool. I want to pivot a bit over to a story now, because I think I'm motivated when I hear stories, and I don't know what story you're going to tell right now, but I think it's interesting to me because I think there's this education and there's this inspiration. And I think it's just motivational for me. I mean, I'm sure for our listeners of saying, hey, if they did that and, here's where they were before Marcello, and then their journey by using the software, and then coming out on the other side, what sort of successes did they have? So I don't know if I hopefully don't put you on the spot here, but it'd be great if you could kind of tell us about a brand that's implemented Marcello and just the whole journey on the platform.
One springs to mind at the moment, actually. They're a reasonably new customer. It's a company in New Zealand called Merrell. So they are a global brand, but they're very popular in New Zealand. So they make...
the shoe company.
Yeah.
Merrell's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So they make... outdoor gear as well as shoes, and they're huge in New Zealand because, we love to do a lot of outdoor stuff, and, the products have to be pretty reliable and rugged to be able to handle what us Kiwis get up to. So I first met Jose a while ago. He's the sales and marketing manager for Merrell. So he had a Shopify plus e-commerce store and bricks and mortar stores and wholesale partner relationships. So we actually started talking during COVID, and they'd had to shut down all their stores. So he was trying to plan for what they could do to get people buying more online. So he was looking at starting a loyalty program for their Shopify Plus store. And through his research, he discovered Marcello and found out that not only could he actually run this loyalty program on his Shopify Plus store, but he could do it through his physical stores as well. So when the stores opened back up again, all those people that had bought online could now go into store and redeem those purchases, which he was obviously very excited about. When we talked, I said, so, what are you doing for your email campaigns and automations and stuff? He said, well, I use MailChimp. So we ran him through the product, and he said, so, this is as good as, if not better. So I can do all this stuff in one place. I'm going, yeah, totally. So, initially he was just super frustrated that he wanted to run this loyalty program, and he knew he was going to have some issues because customers post-lockdown would walk into stores and go, hey, I've got all these points, I want to redeem them. And he was waiting for the backlash from the staff in store, to go, oh, God, Jose, what have you done? You've built this thing, and now I've got all these angry customers wanting to redeem stuff in store. So, he was just stoked when he realized that we had an integration with his inventory and POS providers. And now he can run all that stuff in one place. Just made his life incredibly easy. And I remember when he hit me up, he was just so excited. He's going, are you telling me this is going to work on Sin 7 POS as well? And that's just game changing for us. I can do all the stuff in one place, in store and online. I can easily see what's working and what's not working. And in fact, he loved it so much, he actually sent me a free pair of shoes. So,
oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the kind of customer you like, eh?
Absolutely. It kind of reminds me of the brand that I manage right now. I'm actually wearing them right now. And that's a really good story because the thing is that I think, a lot of people can relate to that, where they have this brand. I just looked them up right now. I see the number of stores they have. So it's merrells.co.nz for New Zealand. And it's interesting because I see all the stores that they have, and actually through all of New Zealand, like through Auckland and through Christchurch, Queenstown, quite a few locations, plus all of the other stockists that are available too. It looks like there's 4 or 5 locations that are wholly owned Merrell stores. But it's nice that they've unified all those things together now. And now they're able to market and get the customer record in there. And then, have Marcella be the source of truth for all things marketing. And you hit the nail on the head too a moment ago about the fact that it has to become a standard operating procedure for, people in the retail environment to saying, listen, we have to capture something about this customer. Some want to be anonymous, fair enough, but you got to incentivize your customers that come into the retail store and saying, hey, and they usually ask, can I have your phone number or your email address? But there's got to be an angle around your brand as to why. Part of it is, hey, we have special promotions for free members only. There's challenges right now. How do we get the customer to give us the information that we know we need and they want us to have because they want to know about limited drops and specials and pricing just for quote unquote members only who have opted in on the online or the store level. So just throw that back to you if you have any feedback on that.
Yeah, you need to incentivize people. I mean, they're giving up something, so you've got to give up something, right? And so that's why the first thing that we built was a loyalty program. So, when we first started, loyalty was around, you would give away points to try and retain customers. We talk about loyalty now as this currency that allows you to get access to customer data. So, you'll get points when you create an account, but you'll get more points when you add your date of birth, which allows us to market to you around, birthday, anniversaries, etc. And we'll give you more points if you add your gender. So, there's a lot of stuff automatically comes through Shopify around what products were purchased. But if you can combine that with the demographics of a customer, then it allows you to go, show me all females within the last 30 days that bought this product in this color because I have a complementary product and I want to market that to them. You got to think about it in terms of I'm actually doing them a favor. I'm not being this Goliath that's sending them a whole bunch of stuff they don't want, just trying to send them, to get them to spend more. I'm actually sending them stuff that's really relevant.
So we are nearing the end of the show for today, but let's talk a little bit about Marcella, just kind of its future. I mean, obviously, it's been a couple of years since we've last chatted. The platform has massively iterated. The climate has changed a lot. Hopefully, we're squeaking our way out of this, but just able to share a little bit about the North Star, I guess, for 22 and beyond, because we're going to be mentioned a bit about the Facebook and Google connection that's on the way soon to allow you to advertise to retarget / lookalike audiences, I guess, from the data that's being revealed. But is there any other innovation or anything else that you'd like to share about where the platform's going to iterate over the next couple of years?
Yeah, just in terms of rounding out that entire customer lifecycle journey, that is acquiring customers and being able to leverage them through advocacy is the reason that we're building the product and service reviews and the Facebook and Instagram advertising. So you'll also be able to do that from one user experience. We're actually looking at building Facebook Ad Manager directly within Marcella. So, we have a lot of customers that say it's a real pain in the bum to manage. But if we're used to using Marcella to build email campaigns and run loyalty program, to be able to run your social advertising from the same experience, we think is really important. And so those are the kind of key things that we're going to do to build out what we think is important for us to do. But we're also starting to partner with other apps through our API to do stuff that we don't think is important to us, but we have retailers coming to us all the time and saying, hey, are you going to do this? And we go, no, but is that important? And so, we're building up this list of target companies that we want to partner with so that all that data is shared back into Marcella. So you can actually, although you may be using a different app, it still feeds into that same customer profile. So you can make marketing decisions based on that. And then the other thing we're looking at the moment as part of the Shopify Plus program, we're actually building an agency channel. So we have a lot of Shopify Plus agency partners that we're talking to that obviously have a lot of Shopify Plus customers that have physical stores. So we're trying to combine a lot of what we do with those guys to provide a platform for these agencies to actually run Marcella on behalf of some of the larger brands, where they can now actually measure whether their campaigns are working in store and drive traffic through different channels.
Mm-hmm. I interview a lot of the agency partners on the show, so if you need any warm intros, I'm thinking the Hawk Medias and the Mute 6s and the BVAs and the Power Digitals and the W Promotes, and there's a lot of really, really, really amazing Plus certified agency partners, and probably you can go to the Shopify's URL and find them all. But yeah, that's really smart actually that you're able to connect with these kind of agency owners, because you're right, they have a large database of customers that are on retainer. Who knows what application they're using, but they come in and recommend something that's more complementary and more complete. That merchant still pays for the service, but then the agency gets to execute with the service. And so I think that's pretty cool. I really like that.
Yeah, any intros you can give us would be great. We've actually just hired our very first person focusing on that. So
excellent.
Yeah. Yep.
So how can people learn more about Marcella? Where do you want to send people today after listening to this episode?
So our website is www.marcella, that's Marselllo, so Mar for marketing, sell for selling, and O for the entire customer lifecycle. You can obviously find us in the Shopify App Store as well, and also in the Shopify Plus directory under the POS category.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I understand that you'd like to share an offer. We kind of chit-chatted in the green room before recording, and you'd like to have a little extra promotion for those that would like to take Marcella for a spin and learn more. I think you have some premium services available for free today.
So a lot of our larger customers in particular opt for us to do a setup for them. So it's really an onboarding and design service that we normally charge $500 for. So it's normally a one-off fee, which basically makes Marcella look as beautiful and aligned with your brand as it possibly can, so that your consumers continue to get that beautiful experience. So we're offering that for free to anybody that signs up through e-commerce Fastlane before Christmas. So if people want to take up that offer, they just need to go to marcella.com/e-commerce Fastlane, and there's a link to register an interest there, and then one of our folks will be in touch.
Beautiful. I'll update the show notes too with all of these details and stuff. Link to the Shopify App Store listing, which I see looking at it right now. Yeah, they're like 360 pristine reviews on it, so it's actually doing quite well. And I also noticed that it's free to install, so obviously there's going to be value right out of the box. Yes, there's additional fees to use the platform, but certainly to ingest data and get the starting point of getting it connected to your store opens up some dialogue that, hey, what do you see with my particular store data? Is this an opportunity? And I think the short answer is yes. If you're unhappy with your current kind of marketing automation platform or SMS tool, or you don't even have a loyalty program yet, or yes, you're using Shopify POS, but you're not using as effectively as maybe you would have hoped, or you want to have a pop-up shop coming soon. There's so many amazing use cases, I believe, from Marcella, just from the bricks and mortar side, and then the true life cycle marketing side on the other side. It's pretty amazing. So I just wanted to thank you for that offer. Show notes will be updated. And I just, once again, thank you for doing this encore recording. It's always fun in my role, getting the opportunity to interview a founder and just see what people are working on. It's just fascinating. I just wanted to thank you for, getting up super early today and recording, just sharing your knowledge and your vision. And I wish you tremendous success through this holiday season. I hope those listening today take you up on that offer to at least have a look at Marcella as an opportunity to unify all these functions. Thanks again for giving back to the Shopify ecosystem.
You're welcome, Stephen. And yeah, thanks again for having me. It's certainly a very different world than what it was last time we talked.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, have yourself a great morning, and I will have a great afternoon.
Cheers. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Take care. This episode is brought to you by Fast Simon, a leader in AI-powered shopping optimization. Its revolutionary platform uniquely integrates shopper, behavioral, and store signals for an e-commerce search, strategic merchandising, and optimized shopping experiences that dramatically increase conversions and average order value. Engage your customers, boost your e-commerce sales, and uplift your average order value with advanced search and merchandising functionalities. And as I mentioned, right now, Fast Simon is offering a 14-day free trial for all my listeners. This also includes a special bonus of 30% off for the first 3 months. So go check out their website, fastsimon.com, and to take advantage of these offers, my listener-only bonus and free trials, head on over to ecommercefastlane.com/FastSimon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.